We return to our top story of the day, that catastrophic flooding in central Texas. Search and rescue teams are targeted all along the Guadalupe River today, urgently looking for the more than 160 people still reported missing in Kerr County. Some of the worst of the flood's devastation hitting an area known as Mystic Springs, home of Camp Mystic, where at least 27 campers and counselors died and more are still missing. Scripps News correspondent Michael Anthony Adams is on the ground and was able to get a first look today at Mystic Springs and what's left of Camp Mystic.
So I'm driving down Highway 39. This is the road that leads to Camp Mystic. It's been difficult to access, but just the drive in, you can begin to see just how vicious these floodwaters were. You see a bunch of mangled tree limbs that are twisted and bent down to the ground, and people's belongings that are just strewn across the side of the road, you know, put aside like trash, but this isn't trash. These are people's lives. We're beginning to get our first looks at the tremendous power of this flood and the damage that it caused. This is the Guadalupe River, and just across the way is Camp Mystic. Piled in front of the dormitories here, you can see a bunch of campers' belongings are laid out on the lawn. The search and rescue crew that I spent time with earlier this week told me that just the staggering amount of children that have been lost in these floods has been the hardest pill to swallow for them. But it's also what's driving them to continue their search endlessly until everyone is accounted for. I think one of the things that has probably hit me hardest here is seeing 4th of July t-shirts and party favors. You know, you realize that this was supposed to be a night of celebration, and I think that date is going to mean something completely different now here in Kerr County. It's just incredibly sad. But unfortunately, it's not too hard to imagine just how powerful the waters were as they came rushing down through here when you see things like 2-ton SUVs lodged into the side of the hill. There's just so much more ground for search and rescue crews to cover, and that is why we see numbers like 160 people still missing after nearly a week since this has happened. This is Michael Anthony Adams, Scripps News Group, Kerr County, Texas.